Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Sit Down and Shut Up. Hope you all doing well tonight on this Wednesday evening. Today we have Anything Bagel for the training session. Don't think they have too much on the actual queue thing, so let's just bring them on and we can chat with them. Hey,
Hey
Anything
there.
Bagel, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
I cannot hear you.
Can't hear me,
Again,
huh?
let me stop jumping. Let's
Test, test, test.
see if plugging headphones in fixes that. Can you try again, Jess?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello.
I cannot.
All right. We can hear you on stream, though, so that part's working. All right. Give me a few minutes to sort that out. While that's going on, and I'll just keep
I'm
talking
getting
so you
nothing
can.
for you.
Can't hear me, huh?
Let me check my settings.
Sure.
Maybe I'm. Okay, how about now?
Test, 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 test. Test.
Perfect.
All right. Okay. Sorted. All right. Problem one solved. Cool. So welcome to the show. So I don't think you mentioned too much about what you're trying to work through on your message, but he did mention that you had wanted to kind of look at how to do replay reviews. Is there anything else you felt like you were kind of struggling with in game that you kind of wanted to focus on for today?
Um, so that's the first one. I'm sort of at a really weird place, right? And I think we talked about it, or I talked about it into the void earlier, but you were around,
Hmm.
where I am doing well in climbing, but I still intellectually just have no idea what I'm doing.
Sure.
And I'm like operating as a pure feral Street Fighter bot.
Okay. Playing by feel is
Uh,
what we used to call it. So, you know,
sure.
gotcha. Okay.
And modern is nice. It lets you do that.
Yep.
Uh, but there's a lot of stuff to improve, and it'd be nice to pick a couple low hanging fruit
Okay. Okay.
in specific.
Okay. Cool. So that sounds good to me. Not everyone always has an idea of what they're looking to improve on when they sign up for these. It's just kind of like, oh, I can get some one-on-one time with somebody to look at my gameplay and stuff, and that can be very helpful too, right? Because you may not know what you're running into really. What might be a problem, all that stuff. So, totally cool. What's your CFN? Is it anything bagel as well, or is there something else that you'd use for that?
Now it's anything bagel as
All
well.
right, cool. So I'll create a custom room. I invite you to that. One sec here.
Let me get out of training. And
Create
if you
room.
don't tell anyone, it'll ruin my reputation. But I've been sitting in the lab.
Labbing's for nerds, folks. Just saying. I'm just kidding. It's
Uh,
where it's definitely something you have to do to get better at this game, for better or worse. But it also is something that you don't necessarily have to either, right? You can do it all kind of in game and figure it out there. So might just take longer, but that's is what it is. Cool. So just for the purpose of the show, basically what we're gonna do is we'll run our first to three here in the custom room here. Kind of get a sense of like where you're at, things you might be struggling with, etc. Get a sense of what's going on there. After that, we'll do a little replay review. So we'll take a look at one of the games from our set that what we're gonna play now, and we'll also take a look at one of the replays that you had sent me. Right. So I haven't looked at them yet. So we're gonna do it live, review it live on stream,
awesome.
and this should help with one of the other questions you did have, which was how do I review my own replays? Right, it's very hard to get into that. So we can
Yeah.
talk about how I approach it, and by no means is my approach like the end all be all for replay review. It's definitely a way to do it, and you can use that as sort of the baseline for how you want to do it moving forward, right?
Yeah.
And then after
When
that,
we do that,
yeah, what's that?
when we do that, can you walk through how you're setting up like whatever the replay review
Oh,
like or replay is?
yeah, for sure, for sure. We can go through all the
Cool.
settings that I normally put up and all that stuff. Yeah, definitely, we can do that.
Sweet.
Then after that, if there is any particular situation that I think needs a little more time, we can get into the lab, do a little lab work potentially. I don't necessarily do that every time. Like there might be some situation that might warrant that additional explanation. So if that does show up, we'll do that. And then if there's time at the end and you're still around and up for it, we can run another first to three after, right? So
Cool.
cool. So actually, I left the room because Capcom's in whatchamacallit, menuing and stuff is terrible. So we invite you here.
Neat.
So go ahead and queue up.
Alrighty.
And what we'll do... Oh, come on, game, show up. Oh, there we go. Okay. So during this, I tend to I'm gonna deafen in Discord because I tend to talk a lot during this as I'm articulating thoughts and what I'm seeing and all that. So I'll be deafen in Discord while that's happening. I also don't want to influence anything you're doing, right? Kind of want to get a sense of where you're at. Additionally, I may not rematch right away, so the timer may run down to like 1 or 2. Don't worry, I'm still here. I'm just articulating thoughts and all that, so that when you watch the VOD later, if you do decide to do that, you'll see what I was thinking during our set, right? So,
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. So good luck.
Sweet. Thanks, man. Good luck.
Oh, I should have checked if my controller was correct. We'll find out. I guess I'll do it live. So AnythingBagel, I haven't actually gotten a chance to play them yet. I think they're on the Newbie Fight Club, and I've seen them around, and I've definitely interacted with them in Discord. But I haven't really had a chance to play them yet, so we'll see what's going on. Modern Guile. Okay. Oh, what flash kick? Oh, nice flash kick. That's actually a dope combo that you can do that in Modern. Do the sand light kick. Interesting. So maybe they didn't have charge there, and they went for flash kick, didn't come out. I'm not sure what happens if they don't have charge and press the special button with Guile. Presses something there. Reversal here? Maybe they tried. I wonder if that's a reaction or they're just doing it. Oh, I think I'm dead here, right? Oh, not yet. Okay. So that was just a pure read on my part at the end. Waiting for the, an opportunity to try to jump there. I think they actually play a very solid Guile. It's just that I think right now the offense that I'm running here is not what they're quite used to in terms of like how tight the pressure is potentially. And I bet with Guile especially, like they don't necessarily have to be super good in the corner because I feel like the way that they play Guile is probably going to put a lot of people in the corner pretty quick. Are they gonna attack again? Very aggressive. Oh. Oh, I thought I had level 2 for some reason. Okay, the safe jump ended up working out. So again, I think that the way they play Guile is pretty straightforward and it's correct overall. You could stand to see more booms, a little bit more zoning going on. I think they're not really throwing as many as they probably should be. Oh, that was nice. Good approach. Going for throw a little early there. They don't need to be pressing the throw that quick. Okay, so remember that the medium Jinrai there in Burnout is actually only -3, so it's actually safe to reversal there. Maybe he didn't know that. But again, I think a lot of the what he's running into here against me in particular is that I'm not doing anything that allows him to get away with stuff, right? Like if I did a lot more jumps, like if I jump right here, I'll probably get flash kicked. Okay, maybe not. But you see what I mean though, right? Is that I'm not doing this stuff, right? So if I do that and I do a bunch of unsafe things, or unstable things rather, yeah, a lot of it is space, I think, also. The spacing I'm playing as probably not what... Oh, shh. I needed to... Whoa, okay. I needed to confirm that. But yeah, so what I'm seeing here mostly is that this is a Guile that has been able to basically play Guile's game plan, and it works really effectively, even at this level, right? Like you saw, I was actually having a hard time getting through some of that zoning initially. But now that I've kind of opened him up a little bit, he's kind of afraid to go into the zone plan again. So hopefully they'll throw more booms. Nope, just staying aggressive. Good DP. Uh-oh. That conversion's so cool, man. I probably didn't need to burn out for it, though. Okay. So I think we can talk about a couple of things. I think the main things end up being kind of spacing, as well as the kind of not as much zoning is probably needed. So let's bring it back on. Hey, buddy, how'd that go for you? What do you think?
Well, I mean, that definitely did not go great.
Okay, that's fine. And you know, it did end up being 3-0, but we did get some points to talk about, I think. The biggest one for you right now, I think, is that my guess is in your current games, you're kind of able to just zone, use booms and flash kicks and stuff, and then people get impatient, and then you just kind of drive rush them, and then you hit them all the time. Like, you get so many counter hits as you're pressing buttons with Guile, right? That'd be my guess as to how your games have been going. When you decide to go in, people seem to fold, right? Does that sound about right, or am I off base here?
No, basically that's it. So I just try to, and again, this is like a purely vibes-based thing. I just go, okay, they have obviously gotten overloaded, and now is the time for me to be the aggressor.
Okay. And I think that game plan works very well, right? Especially in ranks, probably right now for you. If you zone them and they get frustrated, they kind of fold, right? And that's it. Like, you can do basically whatever you want. Like, a lot of your conversions are pretty strong. When you were putting pressure on me, it was actually pretty strong too. It's just that I think what you were struggling was that you couldn't quite get your zoning game going. Either because, you know, you went away from the booms because I jumped on you once or twice, or I was able to navigate them and get up in your face through that. And then when you tried to play that grounded neutral game with me, you were having trouble because it probably felt like every time you press the button, I was able to hit you, right?
I noticed that basically my spacing was bad and your spacing was good because you always whiff punished me.
Yeah, kind of, right? That's a big part of it, is that the space that I'm standing at is advantageous to me. And some of that just has to do with, like, corner positioning and some other stuff. But we can take a look at one of the replays. We can talk about what's happening. So I'm just going to leave the room real quick here. And I'm going to share my screen in Discord here so you'll see it live.
Okay.
Okay. And then we hop into... I really wish you could see replays from in a custom room, but Capcom, please.
That would be very nice.
Right? Anyway, let's take a look at game 1 here. Actually, I think game 2 might be better here, so let's take a look at this one. Yeah, you can see my screen, right?
I think, yeah.
Okay.
Game 2 was the one where I almost had you and panicked because I didn't throw the right boom. Like, I just froze for half a second when you were burnt out, and I would have chipped you out, and I didn't.
Yeah, and then I jumped, right?
Yep.
So let's take a look at this, and we can talk about what's happening. So anyway, when it comes to the replays, obviously you just kind of watch the replay, right? I don't think it matters all that much, some of these settings here, so I'm going to just go into it. We'll get through this part, and then I'll show you what I end up turning on and off for this. So
okay.
All right, so in the settings here, typically for replay review, under the display settings, I'll have all of these turned on. So display input history, attack data, frame data, right? This should be set to display all. Everything else is just
Okay.
show. I think the only options are like show and hide for the most part. Everything else is the same. I think the settings just changes like this stuff here, so you don't need to mess with this at all, really. At least I don't. But this stuff you need on for sure, right? And you'll see why in a second. So it turns on this stuff, right? So the inputs, the frame meter, right? As well as like the plus minus button, the plus minus frames that show up here. We'll see that as well. But that's less important. The more important thing here, at least when I do these type of reviews, ends up being the frame meter and the inputs here, right? So take a look at this. Right. So right off the bat, I think that throwing more booms here is probably correct overall. I think you don't throw as many as you probably could, and maybe that's a choice on your part to try to get me to move or bait me into something. But I do think that the zoning game plan for Guile, especially against Ken, probably needs to be like the layer 1, like the main game plan going into it, and against most every other character too, except maybe JP. You need to be probably zoning, right? Because again, like in your ranked games right now, if you do this, kill half their life bar, and then they get in, that's when you can take the game pretty easily, right? So,
right. Then
a
combo or 2 from killing.
And you could just do like one level 1 conversion, right? Or like you chip them away enough where 1 or 2 conversions wins, right? I think the issue you're having here though is that the space I'm standing at makes it kind of awkward to throw a boom, right? So like if you look at the very beginning, throw a fireball, I try to walk up, right? And I have to block, right? Because you're throwing these booms out, right? But now I'm standing at a space where like it's kind of hard to throw the boom, right? If you decide to throw a boom and I press a button, it's probably gonna get stuffed, right? So that's kind of a decision that I'm making as part of my game plan against Guile to stand in the space. So from your side, what you kind of want to try to do, if I'm standing too close for a boom, you typically want to try to use a button to keep me out, right? So if you look at this situation right here, as I walk up, right, you could probably have pressed your crouching medium kick around here somewhere, right? So if you look at like how long this takes, after the boom is blocked, or I get hit, right? So I got hit here, and you just kind of you charge, right? So this is perfect, right? It's kind of what you want to do. This range here is actually not terrible for Guile because Ken's buttons can't really reach him here, right? So I have to walk up to try to get you. And now you're not going to move, right? Because you're Guile, right? So you're charging here. You're waiting for me to do something. So in this situation,
I'm down back.
You're down back, right? This is like Guile's main special move, right here, right? So what happens in this case, if you look at the space between the characters, right? As Guile, you have to understand where your ranges start and end, right? So your crouching medium kick goes kind of far, right? It probably goes to about here, right, where my mouse cursor is, right? Probably closer to Ken's foot. It'll likely whiff, but it's pretty far, right? Definitely outranges anything Ken can do at that speed. So knowing that, right, and this is kind of part matchup, part like grounded footsies neutral, if you want to call it that, is that if you know the range of your crouching medium kick and I walk into it, you should be ready to press it basically, right? Because you can press that button and maintain charge, right? Like you press that button, you're down backing, right? No big deal, right? You don't lose anything, and you keep me out. So if you decided to press your crouching medium kick here, right, instead of letting me press my button here, that actually incentivizes me to not walk into that space anymore, right? So, and this is kind of a higher level concept, like of controlling space. But again, if we look at the situation, right? So if I take, and so this is the other thing I'll show you, is this the takeover, right? So if you go into switch to player control, you can pick which character you want to control, right? So this might be a little awkward because you're on modern, so I'm not sure how this is going to look on, I'm not sure what the crouching medium button is going to be. I think it's going to be X. All right. Right. So if that's, I just want to make sure that's button. So basically in this situation here now, right, you throw on the boom and you just hit me, right? So there's, now me as the Ken player can kind of do a couple of different things. I can try to approach you, right, either by walking forward or jumping, or I can back up, right? Or I can stand where I am, I guess, but that's not really helping me in either situation because I can't really stand where I'm standing and do anything to you, right? So you're actually winning in that scenario. So what happens is I walk forward, right? So if you're ready for it, right? So as you kind of get a read on my movement and you just press the button, right? So as I walk forward, you try to clip it with your crouching medium kick, right? This is very hard. No, don't make it look like it's very easy. It's actually very difficult to do, but this is how Guiles control space, right? So once I kind of get in the range of that crouching medium kick, you press it, right? That's how Guiles play the game. Right? That's how you control the space, because you want to maintain charge and you also want to maintain that space control, right? So that's part of, I think, one of the things that you may not be doing right now, which is you're just throwing booms, and then if they get close, you kind of wait, right? You did that a couple of times during our set where like I would kind of get a little close, and then you may not know what to do or you didn't want to do anything. You just kind of continued crouching, right? And then you allow me to land a button on you on block, right? So
yeah,
this is kind of a footsies thing. It's kind of a higher level concept, obviously, but the idea behind it is that you're controlling the space in front of you so that I, as the Ken player, can't walk into it, right? So if you continue to do that, it kind of makes it so that I have to hesitate to walk in, right? I can't just walk up and press a button anymore. I have to do something else, right? So, so again, if we look at that, right? Or what is it? The guys always like to do this thing, right? Right. the two crouch medium kicks. Anyway,
yeah. So well, you can do that. I think you can do that into. You can link flash kick off it.
Right on the counter hit. Right. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, so basically that's one of the things that we probably want to look at. Right. We'll look through the rest of the set and see how that kind of goes and plays out. But that was one thing I noticed was that I think the piece that is stopping you from zoning super effectively in when they get close is that control of the space in front of you, right? So being able to use like crouching medium kick or the sobots, right, to kind of put a hitbox out so that I can't walk into it, right? So obviously we'll see how I adjust to that as the set goes on, but that's probably one of the things, if you were looking for things to kind of work on, that would be something that you can add to your game and will make a huge difference right away, right?
Okay.
Okay, so on his footsies, we're just trying to press buttons in each other's face. I end up hitting you counter hit here because you go for a bigger button here. Right, and then I think you were trying to flash kick here and it didn't come out. So that's unfortunate. Yeah. You counter hit for that, confirm. Okay, go for tech. So here's where it was tough for you, I think, right? At this stage of the game. Right, so you tech. Now what do you do, right? As Guile, what do you do here, right? And I think the unfortunate thing here is that you just kind of have to continue down backing and trying to keep me out with either trying to throw projectiles and then flash kick me if I jump, right? Because this position here,
right,
I can't really do anything to you, right? I'm too far for my buttons to reach, right? I have to walk up and try to whiff punish you, which I end up doing, but that's what I have to do is I have to walk up into Guile, right? And for this is actually kind of scary for me because I can't cross you up anymore, right? So like one of the things that you can do against a Guile that's doing this is that you walk too close, they don't press a button, and then you jump and then you cross up the flash kick, right? It doesn't, or if they don't autocorrect it, then you cross them up, right? Or you clip them as it's executing, right? So now I can't really cross you up. So the only way for me to open you up here is if I can get you to press a button and whiff punish it, right? So let's see what happens. Okay, so I stuff the boom, and then I'm on your face again with a drive rush, right? So now you have to deal with strike throw pressure. Obviously, you have to think if you want to delay tech and all that, so let's see how it goes. Right, kind of an aggressive option here. The raw drive rush wake up is a little tough.
Not a good idea.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things that it's an option for sure. But it loses to so many of like the common options that people do that it might not be great. Now, if I was being passive, you know, and like backing up and shimmying you a lot and all that, and it wasn't ready with the crouching medium punch here, maybe that works, right? You get a throw or something like that, but it's kind of risky, right? So now what's happening here is that I'm at a situation where it's very difficult for you to get out, right? You have to try to press buttons, try to catch me walking forward or anything like that. We could talk more about how like the footsies game goes, I suppose, if you wanted to get into that. But the real meat of it here is that you have to use your buttons to try to get space back, right? So that situation we talked about earlier with the crouch medium kick is kind of the same thing. The difference though here is that you may have to give up your charge to do so, right? That's tough as Guile, but that's really what you might have to do if I'm playing this corner game with you, right? Normally the way it works is that you can adjust space by backing up, right? So if I get too close, you can back up, maintain your back charge at least, right? And if I jump, you can anti-air with like a crouching medium punch or crouching heavy punch or stand heavy kick or something like that, right? You want to Kyle's buttons to do it, right? And that's kind of part of the game, right? Is I have to get you to move so I can jump, and you don't have charge, all that stuff, right? But when you're in the corner here, you can't adjust space anymore, right? You can't back up to give yourself more room or anything like that. So as Guile, unfortunately, I think, and this is the way I would consider it if I played Guile. Now, Guile mains may have a different perspective on this, but your goal here and this scenario here is to try to get space back, right? So you want to move forward a little bit, maybe press one of Guile's good buttons like the Sobot or the crouching medium kick. I don't know if you have Sobot in modern, right? The back and forward medium, one of those buttons. Medium. Yeah, one of those buttons that kind of give him space. Maybe even like drive rush knee or something like that from the space. Something like that. You kind of have to get space back, right? Because Guile can't really, since you can't adjust space anymore. Like I can just kind of bully you here, right? I can kind of walk in and out of your ranges, try to whiff punish you. If you block something, I can get aggressive, drive rush in, right? And this is what I'm doing to you here. So your goal here is to try to get some space back so that you can get back to your zoning game plan, right? So let's see how this goes. Okay. Right. So there was your that was good, right? Got the punish counter. Unfortunately, your target combo doesn't quite reach.
Yeah, I wonder what you do with that space then, after I've clipped you.
Like here? So
I guess double crouching medium kick.
Yeah, you could do that. If you're ready, I think you can flash kick from here, right? Because that links.
Especially because it was a punish.
Yeah, so the crouching medium punch links here, right? So since that was a down back, you should have charge here, right? So you can link this in flash kick. Flash kick will basically win it for you, right? You send me all the way across the screen and go back to playing the neutral game, right? So this was a good usage of that. You got the whiff punish. Unfortunately, you didn't convert, but it's only, and I think you didn't convert here only because the pushback and the spacing doesn't allow the target combo to connect here, right? So if that target combo connects, you probably get a flash kick off this, right? So
yeah.
And this is the other option. Just jump over me, right? So this is actually very effective as well, right? And it worked, right? So you got out of the corner, and you have me cornered now. So now you have all the space in the world to work with, right? You can back up, you can adjust all the space, whatever you want, right? Now you have all the opportunity. Unfortunately, you get whiff punished, right? And then I cash out here, or don't cash out, but I hit you with a safe jump, right? So right here, actually, this is defended beautifully, right? This is perfect. So you're out of the corner. You're out of this dangerous situation. You can go back to playing the zoning game plan, right? So I think what happens here is that you press a button that doesn't reach, and I whiff punish it. Right?
Yeah.
So spacing, again, becomes important here, right? So if you are too far for a medium button from here, right? You don't have to press here, right? You don't have to really do anything if you don't want to. Because again, as Guile, right, you don't necessarily have to be the aggression. Now, of course, if you wanted to be and press buttons, and because you have the advantage here and press forward, that's totally fine, I think, if that's your game plan against me here. But you also don't have to do anything, right? I could try to walk up, or you press a longer range button, right? So unfortunately, this whiffs, but another button might have reached, right? So if we look at the situation here, right? Oh, so something I also mentioned that I kind of do, and I don't know if this is something I brought up before, but when I do switch to player control, I try to go back at least a couple of frames before the actual thing I want to do, just to give myself time to actually do it. I've done it before where I try to do the takeover like right as the thing I'm supposed to do happens, and I end up messing it up. So something to bring up. Oh, that's not the right button. It's this one. Right? So if you had pressed the longer range button, potentially I end up not pressing the button and having to block, and then you saw what happened, right? Is that the space now... Right?
Much greater.
Much bigger.
And I can get out.
Mm-hmm. Now you have space to do this, right? Oh, wait. That's not that stuff, right? Sorry, I'm on a hitbox here, so it's a little awkward to play modern. But that's what I mean, though, right? Is that because you did the jump, right? You don't necessarily have to press the button where you were standing, or you press a longer range button potentially. But either way, you get the space back, right? I think the mistake, if you want to call it one, ends up being that you get whiff punished, right? Now, my mistake here was I didn't think about my super meter. For some reason, I thought I had level 2. And I even said it on stream, I was like, well, I thought I had level 2, and that's totally wrong. So I do this instead, which is go for a safe jump setup, right? So unfortunately, you get hit because you're blocking low, right, as I jump in.
Yeah.
It's also plus 42, or you're minus 42 safe jump. So even if you had reversaled here, it would have I would have blocked it, right?
So that's cool.
Yeah, so safe jump, right? It's just a pretty common thing you see. If you've played Zane from from a Newbie Fight Club, he uses this a lot, right? Where you can't reversal against this, right? So if you do see this setup from Ken's, and this is something specific here. After the Dragon Lash here, if you back roll, Ken will hit you on the front. Basically, he hits you from the front side, and you have to block this high back, right? But if you stay in place, and I do this, Ken will hit you on the cross-up side, so you have to still block his high, but the other direction, right? Alternatively, you can go for a parry, right? If it's a safe jump like this, you can try to parry it as a guess, if you will, coming in. So that's also an option. Defending safe jumps is something you probably have to learn at some point, though. If you're getting hit by this often, we'll have to look at some setups and how to defend it. But that is something, just a knowledge thing for you to see. Because Ken's in Platinum or in Diamond and stuff, they'll do this all the time. They'll just loop Dragon Lash and then jump at you, you get hit, and then Dragon Lash again and get hit again, right? So anyway. So yeah, I think
you said parry. I have to parry into my game plan more, period.
Okay.
It took me until maybe, right before I joined the server to start using the Street Fighter 6 mechanics.
Yeah, so it's funny because the game allows you to really do well without having to learn everything about the game. And like, you don't have to, and as Guile especially, you don't necessarily have to parry, right? Because your game plan is, I'm going to throw booms, and if you jump, I'm going to flash kick you. That's like the game plan, right? And then if I jump in, I'm going to do my 3,000 damage combo or whatever, and then go back to Sonic Booms and all that stuff, right? So anyway, come on, Capcom. Killing me here. Sorry about that, folks. Try to get myself logged back into CFN here. But anyway, so while this is loading, what do you think so far? Any kind of burning questions while I'm trying to get this back online you're thinking of?
No, just absorbing stuff.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't expect everything to hit right away. It's going to take a little time, obviously, but yeah, I mean, okay, cool. So we'll keep going. All right, getting round 2 now. And so this is good.
I don't think I'm prepared at round start.
Oh,
because I can just get a boom. Because both of these rounds, you have a projectile before I do, and I have like 99 frames of neutral when I could have been charging, and I don't know what or why I'm not.
I think it's just habit. I think for Guile, I know the joke is that Guile players are charging from the character select screen, but always be charging, and you are charging, to be fair, or at least you start charging. If you wanted to maybe create some space here, but yeah, you could definitely be holding down back from round start. There's no reason not to, I think, is Guile. Obviously, you don't get charged early, but you get it right at frame 1, basically, right? So
yeah.
All right, throwing some booms. All right, so I think at this point, we've played one game, and then we've gone through the second game here, and I feel like what's happened here is that I'm kind of able to navigate your zone game plan to stand in a space where you feel uncomfortable throwing booms, right? So we talked about that at length. The idea again is that you use Guile's buttons to keep me out, right? So
right.
So that was good, right? Just walked up, hit me. I wasn't ready for that. And then from here, it's basically just throw booms, right? But instead you go up, and this is fine, actually. Right, what you're doing here, totally fine too. Decided to be aggressive here, change up the game plan. I have to adjust to this now, so we'll see how I do. Here's a little tough, I think. You go for a throw, driver's throw. And I think you weren't ready for me to back roll here.
Right.
If I don't
because
back
I didn't
roll,
even
yeah. Go ahead.
I didn't even make any inputs yet.
Yep.
I should have seen the back roll and known it wouldn't go far enough, but I don't know that.
Okay. That'll be something you work through, I think. Because Guile's drive rush is actually decent overall. But you do have to watch the spacing, right? Especially after that conversion you got. Like, I'm thrown pretty far away, right? Like, because after the flash kick here, right, I'm like full screen almost, right? At least 3/4 screen.
Can you take over and drive rush knee where I drive rush throw?
Yeah, let's see. So from here, right?
Yeah.
So what's your knee? Is it back light?
Back light.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's still minus. So if you look at the frames. Oh, that's the wrong one. So you can make it 0, I think. If I'm better at this, I think you could get it. Oh, you're actually plus. Okay. So drive rush knee would have worked in that scenario. You actually are end up +2 if you hold the knee input right away. So it's actually pretty good, right? You'll be +2 in my face. You can threaten, strike, throw, right? All that good stuff. So that would actually be an option I would consider labbing from that scenario at this point, because it gives you a setup now, right? So if I can't press against that because it's plus, so you can throw me, right? You can shimmy me. You can continue pressing buttons, all that good stuff, right? So
right.
Unfortunately, go for a throw here. It whiffs, right? I end up just kind of throwing a button out because I thought I'd be able to check your drive rush. If I had actually pressed this, actually, if you had done the drive rush, you saw it in the replay takeover, I end up blocking, right? Because of what ends up happening in the drive rush, right? So I just end up sticking a button out because of the, I was hoping to check your drive rush. You stop it short with a throw and that ends up getting punish counter, but that's why I pushed the button I pressed. Right? Okay, confirm this into a combo. Right, Ken set up here. Into a throw.
Yep.
You take the throw, totally fine, right? Ken can't really shimmy you from here, to be honest. So if he backs up here, you could probably tag him with like a light or something like that if you wanted to press a delayed button here. If Ken wants to shimmy you, he'd have to neutral jump. And if he neutral jumps, he'd probably be able to flash kick, right? So you could tech here. Take and throw is totally fine too, right? If you're not sure, because it'll... the shimmy is representing a lot of damage too, right? So take and throw is totally fine. All right, so from here, you got to deal with corner pressure again.
Yep.
Just do a good job of.
And I think I fold in a lot of corner situations because I don't really have a good plan.
Yeah. Your plan right now is to wait for me to make a mistake, right? Maybe I jump, you flash kick me. Maybe I back off, or maybe I do something you can react to, right? Maybe I DI you here and you counter DI, right? But if I play this kind of patient game plan here where I don't do a whole lot of that stuff, it's like now what happens, right? What do we do? How am I supposed to get out of this, right? And again, I think what I was talking about earlier, which is you have to try to take up space, and unfortunately that is the nature of the corner in SF6, is you have to take some risk, right? Whether that be just going for something ham like, OD flash kick or a DI, or, pressing your own buttons, right? Because even at this spacing and range, pressing crouch and medium kick or crouch and medium punch is a risk for you, right? It could whiff and get whiff punished and all that. But it is a risk you might have to take to try to get some space back, right? Because in this situation, it's pretty likely you're going to lose in one way or the other, right? Eventually, if you keep blocking, I'll take all your drive meter away, burn out, right? All that. The threat of burnout is what forces that from you, right? So you're trying to press here, and I think this is the correct idea, which is you want to press some buttons to try to get some space back. Even if I block, it's okay, because Ken, for the most part, can't really punish most of those buttons anyway, right? Unless you miss space, crouch, medium kick, and it's really close, right? So even if it's on block, it's still kind of okay for you, because if I block, I get pushed back, right? And if I get pushed back, you get some space back, right? So
this was also a missed input. I had intended back heavy. And did back auto heavy.
And then you got the kick, the normal stand heavy kick, which ends up hitting me.
Before that, I whiffed what is Guile's normal standing medium punch.
Oh, that right there?
Yeah.
Right here?
So I had intended a back heavy.
Okay.
Which is the
burn straight, the long range one? Yeah. Because if that hits me, you can confirm that into like a boom or flash shoot or whatever, right? But or boom, I think, because it's back. So I don't know if you have enough time to charge. But anyway, and it's fine. Like, misinput, reset back to neutral wasn't a huge deal overall. Maybe you missed an opportunity to hit me, but, you didn't get hit from it, so that's okay. This hits me as I'm trying to walk up.
I don't know what to do after the heavy kick yet.
You take up the space.
Right? So it's just a good poke, right? Like
Yeah. You just do it.
Okay.
Hit me, right? Obviously, if you get a counter hit or something, I think you get a conversion there. Punish counter definitely is a conversion, I think, but you can just use it to gain space back, right? So that happens. You hit me, right? And now you have a little bit of space to work with, right? You can try to walk forward and back, try to get me to press a button with punish me. You can try to back up, throw a boom, right? Because if you back up and throw a boom here, it's actually good enough space, I think, to throw a boom without, without too much of an issue, right? I can't stuff it from that space, and it'd be very difficult for me as the Ken player to walk forward as you're walking back, right? I'm probably more likely going to wait here and see what you do, right? Because you throw a boom from here, if I block it or I jump, I'd have to predict the boom, right, and jump. But if I jump anytime after you throw the boom, you can flash kick me, right? So that's actually a good position overall. Now, of course, it's in the corner, all that bad stuff that happens, but the space that I'm standing at allows you to have that corner without it being too much of an issue, right? You can use that space effectively to push me back even further, right? Unfortunately, I think you can try to flash kick here. Right? Is that what happened? Oh, you're trying. It would have been the stand heavy kick again, so it gets stuffed, right?
Yeah.
So, now I'll talk about space again when it comes to buttons, right? So if you look at the spacing here between the two characters, it's probably too close.
This is crouch medium space, not heavy.
Not heavy kick space. Exactly right. Because again, the heavy kick is going to be a little slow, right? So the advantage of the range is negated now, right? Because you're too close. So then you want to press something faster. So crouch medium kick. Crouch medium punch probably whiffs here, but crouch medium kick is probably the correct button here, right? So maybe that trades. Maybe I still hit you, depending on the timing. But I think that is a better button selection than your heavy here, right? Forward take a combo here. Go for the setup. You block. Good. So I missed my setup here. If you look at the frame meter, you can see that what's supposed to happen here is after this, do a jab. So that comes out. But I need to press my stand heavy punch after this right away. I don't do it.
Right.
So I miss it by about 3 frames, right? So what ends up happening is this is not as plus as it should be. This actually ends up being +2 on a properly spaced meaty. But, you may not know that, right? If you see the setup and you assume I'm plus after this, it's probably fine too, right? You block this, right? Totally fine. All right. Now we're both playing this, the footsies game, unfair footsies, right? So, you can't really navigate the space as well because I'm standing in a situation where you can't back up anymore either, right? So I'm staying too close for that, right? So I think it's actually fine to press that there. It works out. So I back up here, right, after this. Right, and you go for your big button here. Totally fine. And it's actually fine to do that in this scenario because I'm minus a bunch, right? So I'm -5 here. So you're... Even though 12 frames is kind of a lot, this might be too big a button to go for. But if I'm that minus, you could definitely go for, a little bit more of a button, right? 8 framer, 10 framer. And it's unlikely that I would be able to react to that, right? Because I'm not going to press. I'm minus here, right? So you press anything that's faster than 6 frames, I'm going to get counter hit, right? My jab won't come out in time. And the space doesn't really allow me to press that either because it's not going to reach you, right? So this is actually okay. Would I press this in particular? Maybe, maybe not. It's kind of okay button, right? Look how far back I get pushed, right? It's like a character, basically, right? So now you have some, again, space to work with. And I think what you're doing here is actually kind of okay. Now, some of the button selection maybe isn't correct overall, like the crouching heavy punch maybe is not what you wanted here. But trying to press buttons to gain space back, right? Or trying to get me to move closer so that you can jump over me, right? Because Guile, if he gets out of the corner here, I have to do all this work again to get you cornered, right? So, would you get whiff punished?
Yep, big.
Right, so good reversal there, right, on the drive rush. That's well done. Puts you in danger of burnout, but I think that's okay, right? Because look what happens after this. This position is so much better for you, right? You don't necessarily have to dash up and throw me, which I think you just throw me. Oh, you went for a sobot and I jabbed it. You don't necessarily need to take up the space like that. It's kind of aggressive. And again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You can be aggressive as Guile. But what makes it tough is that your drive is so low here, right? So if you block anything, I'm going to burn you out. So
also, I could have just dashed 1 and done a sobot, and it would have still reached you.
Yeah, could have done just 1, right? Dash, sobot, right there, right?
Yeah.
Assuming that timing is correct, that would hit meaty potentially, or at least I can't press anything against that because it's going to hit me on wake up, right? Unfortunately, you go for this, and I kind of jab you out of the jump right as you're walking forward. So, but again, being aggressive here is totally okay. The issue ends up being that because your meter is low, if you get burned out, that's pretty bad, right? So you just have to be careful if you're going to do that. Additionally, can you kill me from here with one extension? Probably, actually. Looking at this, so you land a clean hit, drive rush in, something like that. You can get me probably with level 2 here, or sorry, you have level 1 at least, so that probably might be enough. But you got to consider their meter situation when you are aggressive there, right? Because if you're being aggressive, your main goal here now is try to open me up somehow and kill me, right? Or at least put me in a position where you can kill me. And it's tough to extend without any meter, right? So I burn you out, right? Unfortunately. And I think here you actually get me the... Oh, no, never mind. This is the blocked reversal here. So I don't know if this was supposed to be a super. No, you're mashing flash kick here,
nope.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just late.
Mm-hmm.
One of the Jinrai kicks like that is... I don't know them.
Oh,
well enough.
Yeah, so this one in Burnout actually is actually safe for Ken. So normally, if you had if I was not in Burnout, if you were not in Burnout here, and you did that,
yeah,
you'd be able to beat the low, right? So
got it.
It would be -7 here. Remember, Burnout adds 4 frames of block stun, right? So because of that, when I did this, I'm only -3 here. So even if you flash kick, right, you can see the frame meter here. You do it actually as a reversal, and the reversal badge comes out. So this is on time. It's just that Ken is now able to block, right? Like he recovers in time.
Yeah.
So it's a Burnout specific thing. Yeah.
It was the right thing, just not in Burnout.
Correct. And I think that a normal flash kick here might actually get stuffed. We can check that out. But you'd have to use an OD flash kick here. Because if I do the low, it'll actually stuff the startup of your flash kick.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So if we look at... I mean, I don't think this is going to be quite correct. Let's see.
Common.
Let's see. Hold on. So from here, if I do the low... your flash kick doesn't even come out, right?
Okay.
Because of the block stun. So I think that with the gap that exists between the medium and the light follow-up...
It has to be OD.
Yeah, it has to be OD. It'll clip the startup otherwise. Because it's actually a frame trap for 4-frame moves as well, right? So flash kick is 5 frames, I think, but it's not strike invulnerable when on startup, right? Like you can stuff it. So you have to use OD there if you're going to... And you do that, actually, right? You did that in other games where you reversaled me out of the Jinrai. That's a totally perfectly acceptable response to that. You don't want to deal with a mix-up. I'll spend 2 bars, do some damage, get me out of this, right? Totally fine.
It'd probably be worth it to learn to deal with the mix-up, but...
yeah, at some point. But it is difficult in Burnout because all of the strings are now like true block strings. You're losing 4 frames, right? You have to deal with that, and that's very difficult because you can't reversal this either, right? So if I go back to this... Do you need charge to do the level 1 with Modern? You do, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. So let me see if we can do this. So if we go back, looks like you have charge here. So I think it's, let's see. No, it's not that. So that's drive parry.
It is heavy and special.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see what my auto button is here. Is it this? That's throw.
Oh, weird. I don't have throw bound.
Okay, it's that. So it would be okay. All right, so if the Ken blocks there, so it actually hits in this scenario here because I think Ken is not blocking. But if you look at the frame meter while this hack comes off, it kind of disappears really fast. But
there's a lot.
There's a lot of like the startup. It's like 8 frames or whatever for Guile's super. So Ken will be able to block in that scenario. Now that's specific to a burnout, right? So if you're burned out, you can't super against Ken that's doing the medium Jinrai, right? Because if they don't do the follow up, you'll get clipped, right? Rather they'll block. Now in not burnout, normally you can do that, right? So he's -7 there, so you'd be able to do your super. Flash kick's probably better, OD flash kick, but you could super in that scenario. So anyway, the takeaway from this, I think, is that the level, and you have to bear with me a little bit, but the level disparity here is that the spacing that I'm playing at is kind of stopping you from playing your game, right? And that just happens to be because, I play the game longer, or whatever the case may be, high rate, whatever it is, right? But my spacing is kind of better here, right? And that's stopping you from playing the game. But you can see how effective just standing in the right spot is, right? Like a lot of times I wasn't doing a whole lot. I was just kind of standing in a spot that made you uncomfortable and then just reacted to what you did, right? So again, the counter to that though, as Guile, is you have to take a little risk with your buttons, right? So walk forward a little bit, get some space back by forcing me to block things, get enough space to throw a boom, or take a risk and jump over me, right? That's also a very good way to get out of the corner, right? If I get too close and I go for something that you can jump, then you can just jump over, right? And you'll be out of the corner. Additionally, I think throwing more booms is probably a good idea. Use that as your kind of layer one, your main game plan going into most games, at least until you get a sense of how the opponent plays, right? Mid-range zoning is really hard to deal with, right? I personally struggle with this the most, I think, out of everything in the game. Like, this is what I struggle with the most, is dealing with mid-range zoning, especially when the zoner is able to really effectively throw booms and, flash kick jump-ins, all that good stuff, right? But the real key, though, is that when I get close to them, they use their buttons, like the crouch medium kick and other buttons that Guile has, to keep me out of that space, right? Because, again, Ken can't win from further away. Guile can, right? So, cool. So let's take a look at one of the replays you sent me.
Yeah, that was the whole set I sent was real good.
Mm-hmm.
I got to play against Bareface.
Okay.
We did a first to 3.
Okay.
I won 2 and then lost 3 in a row.
Okay.
And winning 2 made me feel pretty good.
That's good. So getting games off him. Yeah. Bareface is really good.
Then he took the gloves off on me.
He was like, oh, I see how this guy plays, cracked his neck a little bit, and then took out. Yeah. So let's take a look at what happens here, right? And let's see how Bareface approaches the game plan, how it might be different from how I approach it. Because Ryu has different tools to deal with Guile. So let's take a look here.
While we're loading, one thing he had said is flash kick in neutral less.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that's because I was using it to stuff drive rush, because I have not practiced doing it with a jab.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you could check with crouching medium punch, I want to say. Let me see.
That's a much better button.
Because if you confirm that with counter hit, you could get target combo, or you can counter hit confirm that into something, right? Let me see. Yeah. So crouching medium punch is probably going to be one of the better buttons to go for in that scenario, because you can link into something. Excuse me. On hit. So let's see. Yeah, crouching medium punch might be the best option for you here, or it's a less risky option, right? Because if you're reacting with OD flash kick to every drive rush, people will just start drive rushing to get you to do that and bait you. And I'm guessing that's what might have happened here, right? So let's take a look. So I'm assuming you played some games at this point, right? Maybe game 3 or game 4 of this. So let's just take a look. Keep that. Just wanted to keep that in mind as we go through this, right? So you guys have already had 2 games to get to know each other.
Yeah.
Right, so more booms, right? You see, like, Ryu takes up. So after this right here. All right. So now Ryu is at basically almost full screen, maybe 3/4 screen. He gets a quarter of that for free, right? He walks up and takes up the space, right? And then plants here, right? So you can see how Bareface is approaching this particular matchup at this point in time. Is that I think he's noticed that you're allowing him to walk forward. So that's what he does, right? He just takes up the space and then just plants, right? Waits for you to do something. So you could have thrown another boom here, right? Like blade, sonic blade, another boom, or another boom here, because you can do your blade without any repercussion from Ryu here, right? He can't drive or sweep you or do anything like that. So you could throw a blade here, another boom, and then it stops his walk forward, right? He has to react to what's happening. If he decides to jump over your Sonic Cross, you could just DP him or flash kick him right from there.
Right.
So from this spacing here, the real blunder, if you even want to call it that, is that he gains this much space for free, right? This is like the death sentence for Guile, right? If you keep giving up the space, eventually going to end up in the corner, because your response to this, obviously you should have thrown the boom, but now he's too close really for you to Sonic Boom, right? So now you have to back up if you're going to throw the boom.
Yeah. He can jump at this point.
Yeah, he can jump, right? Try to predict your boom. He can also might be able to sweep you here if you do like a Sonic Blade. Like, he can't do Blade anymore from here because he can sweep. He can also walk up a little more.
Oh yeah, because it is a hurt box, right?
Yeah, because if you do the hurt box, right, or the extended, you do the blade, the extended hurt box goes up to like here, and then reuse sweep, it goes to like here, right? So if you do the blade, you can react with sweep and get you, right? So that option is no longer really on the table for you. Throwing a boom here is probably okay, but if he jumps, you're gonna get hit, right? And predicts that. And yeah, so you had an opportunity to hit him with a few more booms, try to get him to parry them, vary the boom timing, try to get some gauge off, but fortunately you give up that space for free. So that's probably one of the bigger things that we'll probably see throughout the set, right? Is you're giving up space for free. Make him have to parry, walk up, block, or something. And maybe he eventually gets here to this same state, but maybe he's like half a bar down now, right? Or maybe you hit him a couple of times, right? That can happen too. So he actually does jump, right? Predicts the boom, jumps, feels bad, but is what it is. Because Ryu has to take a lot of risk here, right? You have to jump against Guile. That's just how the game works, right? So,
yeah,
once you get jumped on. But again, the spacing allowed him to do that, right? So, can't jump on you from here. Can't jump on you now from here, right? So now that option is live for him, right? So that's why he moves to this space. That allows him to jump over your boom. Right, modern combo. All right, now I think he does the same thing I do here. Oh, it goes aggressive. Okay. So if you take a look at this, right, he's trying to keep you in the corner, right? And of course, the modern reaction, get DP'd.
Yep.
And then he goes after what I think is supposed to be an instant tech, unfortunately. Or with auto here. Is that still tech if you do light, medium, and auto? Is that still throw input? Yeah. Okay. So you go for an immediate tech here, which is a little bit risky because it ends up getting blown up by his meaty solar plexus here. So,
right. And there's no reason for me to have at that point tried to tech anyway. He hasn't represented that he's going to throw.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could go for delay tech, and maybe that's okay. But instant tech is tough, right? Instant tech loses to a lot of the common options. It does beat shimmy, and it does beat, it's even with throw because you tech it. And if he had shimmied you there, you'll throw him out of it. But if he does anything that is a strike, a meaty strike, it's going to get clipped, right? So it's not really a point to use a throw, use an instant throw. Now, if you're going for delay tech and missed it, that is what it is and something you have to work on. But yeah, instant tech is probably not a great idea defensively, at least at first, right? Now, if he had been going for a lot of shimmies and stuff that loses to that, then I think it's totally acceptable to use that as a defensive option. But yeah, instant tech is a read. That's like your next level of defense as it's coming up. So anyway, looks like he's gonna jump here. So let's see what happens. You should have charge, but you don't react to the jump, right? So let's take a look here. All right, so should be for flash kick. Is it just forward heavy or forward special, or how do you flash kick? Is it up?
It's down up heavy.
Oh, so it's still to hit up. Okay.
You can do it by just holding down and then tapping special.
Okay, let's see.
That gives you non-perfect, but it gives you a good flash kick.
Yeah. So you could have flash kick there, right? So this is tough.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. This is very difficult to deal with because you're like racing to defend against a bunch of options. But if you've committed to taking the throw here, then you have an option to flash kick, right? So if we look at this situation, I'm holding down, right? So what Bareface is looking from you is actually a delay tech, right? So obviously what he does here is going to beat delay tech, right? So if I do this, go to him, or go to you again, but I delay tech instead, right? That's what will happen.
Yeah.
Right. So if you've committed to taking the throw, And this is something I'll talk about here, I think, is that once you've decided on a defensive option, I'm taking the throw here, right? You're going to lose to a throw. You've accepted that as like the reality of your situation, right? Then the next thing to think about is, all right, so what if I don't get thrown? What happens then, right? So, like, what would happen? You block something, right? Because you're blocking here, right? So you block something, right? You know, he does a offensive string, whatever. You may have an opportunity to try to take a turn back, but you block, right? He could back up, like shimmy you, in which case nothing happens, right? He walks back, he get a little space back, or maybe you can press a button, right? Maybe he neutral jumps. If he neutral jumps, then you can anti-air, right? You can be ready for that scenario as well, right? It's just something that as you climb up and get better into the game, a lot of these scenarios just become kind of automatic, where it's like, oh, I'm taking a throw here. All right, so I'm gonna be ready for a meaty strike. I'm gonna be ready for a shimmy and ready for a jump, right? And you know, obviously you can see that you had plenty of time to flash kick, right? So like if I look, I could probably put this pretty late, right? That's like way late. Like Ryu's fist is already coming out, right? So you know, you had a little more time. I think for anti-airing, you have a little bit more time than you think you do in a lot of cases, right? Because of the anti-air vulnerability of the flash kick, you could flash kick him here, right? So, and if you weren't sure, you could OD, right? So, like, well, I'm not sure if I'm gonna have time.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even think about anti-airing as an option in that moment.
Yeah, it's something that I think as you get better at the game, it becomes apparent that there's a jump opportunity for the opponent, and you just kind of like, okay, I'm going to react to that, right? Because you know, again, this is more of a mental stack reduction thing, which I don't know if you're struggling with right now, but I just wanted to bring that up because you know, the fact that you said, oh, I didn't even think about anti-airing right now. Okay, now is the time to start thinking about that, because if you allow that jump to happen, and you happen to not block it correctly, you're going to take a full combo, right? From Ryu, which is going to kill you, right? In this scenario. So, anyway. Anti-air, no big deal, right? Now, next time you're ready for it. So, you do block, which is good. Right, now, Bareface here at this point has hit you a couple times. Now the spacing, he's outside of range of his buttons. In range of yours, but he's blocking, right? Because he's minus after that stand line kick, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. That was perfect. Like, he tried to walk up. He didn't space for this.
Hit the right button.
Hit the right button. Perfect. Right. Exactly what you need to do. Of course, the funny thing is that Guiles will always do this thing. Right? They'll press it again, right? So if you had pressed the crouching medium kick again here, I think this actually clips Bareface here. Right? So, and it's funny, I laugh at this because a lot of Guiles will do this, right? Crouching medium kick on hit. Because of the frame advantage, it will clip any medium that another character will do. And then from there, you can actually confirm that, right? I think you link that into flash kick or whatever. So, anyway. Something to keep in mind, when you land this on hit, right, you could do it a second time.
Yeah, I need to just be jamming it and getting out there.
Yeah, be ready, right? I mean, they have to reversal you to beat that second crouching medium kick, which is, you know, a big risk on the opponent's side, right? So, anyway, you go for that. Unfortunately, you get counter hit by the crouching medium punch, which you would have clipped had you gone for a second crouching medium kick. But, you know, you don't have to. You could just do one and block. Be content with that space. All right. So this is one of the flash kicks that worked, right? You happen to catch him not doing anything. Was he walking forward? Let's see. Oh, he went for solar plexus. Okay. So you caught the startup of a move, right? So I think
Which means I was throwing it out randomly.
Yeah, it was not on reaction to something.
And I got lucky.
And you got lucky, yeah. And to be fair, a lot of times stuff like this happening is exactly what you need to get back in the game, right? Like a random DP that you went for and hits. Like all of a sudden Ryu is way on the other side of the screen. In his head he's like, what the? It just hit me, right? Like what the hell, right? Now you have an opportunity to discombobulate, throw some booms, right? So let's see what happens. Good. Unfortunately throws the OD, but that should clash, right? And you have to block through it. It was OD, right? So, yeah, it was OD fireball on his part. So you do have to block, and you do, which is fine. It goes for space donkey kick, which misses. And then you get kind of whiff punish.
Is it possible to punish the donkey kick? I haven't gone and tried to figure that out.
Yeah, definitely. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at. So there's kind of two ways. So I'll talk about this here too. There's two ways to think about how you want to punish a move, right? So first is the frame advantage or frame data right behind it, right? So let's take a look at the donkey kick, right? So that happens. 17 frames. Maybe you don't react to the startup, but you react to the whiff, right? So let's look at how many frames he has a whiff, right? So that's whiffed at this point. No more hitbox now, right? And you know it's gonna, and ideally you know that's gonna whiff because he's standing at a range just too far. But maybe you don't. But whatever. If you react to like here, right about here or so,
I might get clipped.
You might get clipped, but there's a chance that you actually clip this too, the startup. But let's say that you don't react to startup, right? Right. So if you look, there's a lot of frames, right?
Oh yeah, I got a lot of time there.
You got a lot of time. Yeah. The issue though is that you have a move that can reach from here, right? That is part of the problem. So do you have a move that reaches? That might not, right? So it's 22 frames of recovery, right? You have plenty of time. So that may not be the right move. Now you could do something like this instead. So
flash kick there. I've got charge.
You got charge. You can flash kick. Oops, I think that's too far. You can flash kick. I think sweep will probably reach.
Oh, then it would punish counter, and I'd get the target counter and a flash kick combo.
Oh, that's not the right button. Hold up. So you're in recovery here. So 17 plus 9 frames here. This is 23 frames. So this is plenty of time for you to have reacted to the missed donkey kick, right? It's whiffed. So I think sweep for modern is this.
Down forward heavy. Yep.
So get that, right? Perfect. So when you go into your replays now, since you are now armed with the knowledge of how to do replay review and all that, when you look at those opportunities, it really does boil down to those two things. Like, do I have enough frames to react to it and press the correct button? And am I close enough to press the button that I want, right? So there are definitely times where like, oh, this person is -5. I can punish them with my 5-frame move, but they're too far, right? He doesn't reach. So that's not a correct punish. In this case, a whiff donkey kick, when you see that, you can go for sweep now, right? You see it, oh, it's right in my face. I'll just go for a sweep, right? You can also lab out other things, but I think this is probably one of the better conversions you can get, at least meterless and, you know, range-wise, right? So yeah, you could have swept there, right? You have time to punish that with something longer range. So, but that would be how I would approach it, right? I'm playing the game. He does something that I'm not quite sure I could deal with, or maybe he whiffs it and I can maybe go for whiff punish or something. Let me get into this replay review and try buttons, right? So like that's what I would do here is I would just be doing this stuff. Right? Nope, that doesn't work. Nope. Right, that might work, right? It's not a huge reward, but I can hit you, right? So it's like that, right, is what I would do. And then I would try to convert that into something, right? Now, I think, again, the sweep combo is probably the best use of that from that space and range, but you'd have to figure that out on your own, I think. I'm not quite sure how Guile converts, and I'm definitely even less sure how a modern Guile would convert that, right? So you have to figure that out yourself. But you see how to create it now, right? How to build that into it. And then from then on, now it's like, oh, I see whiff donkey kick, automatic, right? I just do that, and it works, right? So,
right, yeah, it's in the pocket.
Yeah, and you don't have to think about it now, right? Yep. Boom. That's it.
Modern Guile. Bear was like, I don't know that I've ever seen one before. Like,
it's pretty rare. I've run into a couple, but it's pretty rare overall. I mean, Guile is not really super popular either, like as a character, generally speaking now, at least in, you know, in MR. But, you know, you see him less often. And then you get overheaded here. Yeah. So defending this here is very difficult. Like, you get hit, you're one hit away. Right. Now, you could react to the overhead here. Right. 20 frames before that comes out. Block high, potentially. But it's very, very hard, right? It's very difficult to do that. You could delay tech here. You get the block standing. Could have reversal here, potentially, right? You could have some options to pick. But I do think that if you are going to reversal here, you probably would have reversaled earlier. Try not to reversal on the last interaction, because that's typically when it's the most telegraphed. But it will have worked here, because Bareface went for kind of an aggressive option. And especially with the Ryu overhead, right? This is supposed to be a very reactable overhead, right? So, like, right there, it's like, oh, he's going for overhead. I should have down charge, because I'm rolling back or whatever. You don't, but, you know, something to work on. Always be charging. could have reversal here, right? Maybe level 1 would be better because you don't have enough bar to really OD here. So going for level 1 here might have made sense for a reversal option. Parry is a little risky, but you could have went for that too. Overall, and then again, just blocking this correctly would have been correct though, because if you block this high correctly, Ryu's turn is over since it wasn't drive rush, right? There's not enough plus frames, so your turn to press the button after that. So anyway, again, the real mistake, again, if you really want to even call it that, ends up being that situation where you gave up that space for free. So like all of the stuff that happened and snowballed and all of that stuff kind of boiled down or resulted as him landing that jump in from you giving up the space to do so, right? So,
right.
I know it's very.
I let him in not on my terms.
Yeah, exactly. Right. If you had flash kicked him there, this game probably goes a lot different. You're not in the corner, right? You don't have to take a full combo from Ryu. You don't have to take a mix up from Ryu, right? You go back to booms and go from there, right? So that was dope. This is like a hard call out to moving, right? This is like 13 frames, right? Startup. So this is dope. This is a good use of that move in that space, right? So you walked into space that was effective for this. You hit him with a boot. This is textbook, right? What you want to do. Right. So you can see what's happening here. Yeah, and it's all by feel, right? It's like if you think about it as a by feel player too. It's like I don't want to press slow buttons up close, right? No reason to. I can press my faster buttons and it'll still hit, right? I want to press the slower buttons further away because they reach further. No frame data needed, right? No lab work needed. That's just an inherent, like, like you said, a feral instinctive thing, right? Like I don't need to press slow buttons from further away, right? Or from up close. I can press them further away. I can press my faster buttons up close, right? So good. So this is pretty typical GOG gameplay, right? So I'm totally fine with you contesting like this, but after this hit, should have been a boom, right? Right here.
Right, I should have.
Yeah.
I have my space now.
Exactly. You can run Guile's game plan from here, right? Now
and a life lead.
Yep. Now, the tricky thing here, though, is that Bareface elects not to back roll, right? And this is pretty common against zoners like Guile, JP, and even Dawson, because giving up the space is actually more advantageous to the Guile, right? So Bareface doesn't roll back here. And you see me actually do that, too, in our game. I don't back tech a whole lot because, and two reasons, right? Well, the main reason, rather, is that if I just get up, right here, right? And if you plant and you get up, this is actually maybe a little far for a jump in, but it makes it so that the boom you throw might be a little uncomfortable, right? You might get jumped on again. So what Guile players will typically do is they'll back up a little bit from here, right, to get more of the space that they need to throw booms effectively. Now, this is kind of a longer layered game plan, but the idea there is like the more I can get Guile to back up, the closer he is to the corner and the closer I am to getting, putting him in that corner, right? So it's kind of a strategic thing on Bareface's part to not tech here, I'm assuming. Maybe he did. I mean, he clearly doesn't input anything, right? So it's not like a missed tech or anything, right? So, back up to throw booms. Instead, you get aggressive here. Totally okay. Let's see what happens. Get DP'd. Pretty trouble. Now, this might work if you had jumped sooner, potentially, or against Not Modern, right, if they weren't ready. But unfortunately, you do get DP'd for your trouble here. So now you're in trouble, right, because Ryu is now in your face.
Yep.
And he baits your flash kick, right? So...
yeah, and this is after he's seen me reversal flash kick several times.
Right. So game 3, he's obviously baiting something that you gotta do, right? But all of that comes down to your jump right here getting DP'd, right? Space to drive rush, break, flash kick, baited. That's a sick... I'm gonna steal that conversion. That's a sick conversion. I have a modern Ryu that I play, and I'm gonna steal that. But anyway,
he is so cool.
Right, Bareface is sick, dude. Like I mean, the fact you got to play him is awesome, and you get this set from him. So, but if you look now, so you take he puts you in Oki scenario, right? Right. So he's a little plus here. Goes for a throw. You wake up with a button. It looks like you're a little late, but that said, this setup should have put him plus in your face. Maybe it's a little bit late on his part, but let's see. Oh yeah, he's a little late on his throw. So if he throws you right away from here, right, that's going to counter hit no matter what, right? So he's a little late. So, you might have had a chance to jab out of that. But that setup looks pretty real, right? So you wouldn't necessarily be able to press any buttons. You'll get counter hit thrown. So if you wanted to press there, you have to reversal, right? Or just delay tech or something else. That's kind of the thing that happens with these setups is that a lot of times the attacking player will have a meaty throw option, right? And that's going to beat any wake up buttons that you have. That's why you typically don't see a lot of people press on wake up unless there's a good reason for it. So, delay tech or reversal. If you really want to press something, you have to reversal there. So, unfortunately, I think you just get thrown, which would have been the result anyway had he been frame perfect or tight on that setup. So,
right,
because you elect for a button here, which would have lost anyway, right? So, even a 4-frame. So if you are going to mash a button, mashing 4-frame is probably correct, but it's going to lose to that meaty throw. So, all right, throw loop city. Oh, okay. Elects for the meaty stand medium punch here. Okay, so you actually do the right thing here. This is probably fine. Both 0, right? So you can press something here. The issue is that you press the second jab. Excuse me.
Right.
Right. So at this point he's spaced out to where your second jab is going to whiff, and I don't think he even reacts to this. He just it whiffs and then he just presses. Right. I don't think he's reacting in that 4-frame window here. I think he's just pressing because the space made sense for him to press it. Right. Punish counter here.
Right. He's just sticking out a medium there too.
Yeah. And he's doing it at a space that makes sense, right? So he just got pushed out by your jab. Typically jabs are minus, right? So if you mash it here, it's going to whiff, which happens. So he could press that button and it's in the right space and it'll punish anything you do, right?
I have space trap myself.
Yeah, right. You end up in a situation where your follow-up move's going to whiff and then you get space trapped, yeah. So let's see, level 2 here. And you just get thrown. So, yeah, I think for that, obviously the last interaction there is total guess for game, right? You have to reversal or do something after that. And it's difficult to go for that, but you could have went for reversal here. You didn't do a whole lot of reversal flash kicks other than that one against the flash kick. So I'm assuming that your earlier ones might have gotten baited or blocked, or you just don't reversal all that often. But that said, sorry, go ahead.
So I lean on it a lot.
Okay,
that's fine. I was consciously trying not to because he had stuffed it.
Right, like you see against a good player, they adjust to your kind of reversal timing. I don't want to call it timing necessarily, but like they have a sense of when they think you're gonna reversal, and then they just back up and you get baited, right? So, and that's really again an educated guess on the offensive player's part. Right? He doesn't know you're gonna reversal or not, but he may be picking options that are safe to it, right? So, anyway, that all said, I think like if you were to pick one or two things to really work through, it would be being able to control space when someone gets close to you, and then deciding to consciously go back to the zoning game plan when you have that space back, right? You don't necessarily want to go for the aggressive Guile game plan until you can get a sense that their kind of mental is a little bit shattered from taking too many booms, right? Against a player like Bareface, who is really good, I doubt you're going to get him in that scenario right away. You have to really be on top of your zoning, especially against Ryu that has an okay fireball to contest. So your sense of when to go in against him would probably be a little different than what you're facing right now. But I think that's really, like, if I wanted to pick two things for you to work on, that would be it, right? So being able to use your crouching medium kick to keep me out of the space. And then once you get that space back, going back to throwing booms, right? Zoning more effectively, if you will, right? So those two things would be great.
I like that a lot. That's good to work on.
Yeah, because I think once those things become better overall in your game plan, all of a sudden, when you go offensive, it works so much better, right? Because they're like, oh, crap, I've been mental stacking myself against booms and flash kicks, and now I have to go against a guy that's pressing all these buttons, and I have to deal with that. And that can be really effective, right? It makes your offensive game plan to go in way better if you're able to zone effectively. Because then all of a sudden you can do all that and then go back to zoning, right? Land a couple of hits, and then you just back up in zone again. And it's like, oh, crap, now I have to deal with all of that again, spend half my life trying to get in, and then, die to an OD flash kick, right? So, cool, man. So yeah, I think that's all the replay I wanted to look over. I can't think of anything in the lab that I'd want to go over in particular. I think we've talked about the spacing stuff, and I think you have an idea of how to work on that now, so we don't really need to do that.
Yeah.
What I'll say now is if you have time, you want to run it back, go to the first of 3? If you have time?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. Let me start up a room here.
Now, I'm not going to guarantee that I'll have disconnected. Oops. Thanks, Capcom.
Yeah, that happens to me so much when I'm doing these. Like, it'll disconnect me because I guess people don't look at replays for over an hour. So
one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to look back at the games that I won against Bear too and figure out what I did right. Because I came away from those like, what the hell did I do that even worked?
Yeah, and that's something that looking over your wins can be really effective too. Like, especially against a really good player where, you know, you get some games off them and then they adjust. You can kind of see what was working and how they stopped it, right? How they adjusted to that. So,
yeah,
you know, that can be really helpful too. It also feels kind of good to be like, oh man, that guy was 1800 MR and I got a win. That's pretty dope, right? So, all right, cool. So we'll run it back. I'll leave the mics hot so we can talk through what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's usually more entertaining that way too.
Now, I'm not going to guarantee that I will have absorbed anything we've talked about.
Oh, I don't expect it at all.
But,
right? I mean, that's like how it goes, right? You get better after the session, right, by putting it in the work. But at least you're aware of it now, right? And you can give it a try and see how it goes and get an idea. So.
Tell you what, I'm holding down back now, though.
All right. There you go.
God damn it.
Nice conversion.
I can't boom anymore.
There you go. That's the one you can flash kick. I can do it there. Nice.
Nope.
Went for a shimmy there. Ended up baiting the flash kick. Ooh. Caught the flash kick. Instant tech. Oh.
Damn it.
Nice. Nice challenge. Oh. The flashing didn't come out, but I didn't react to it correctly.
Right. I failed the
like...
flash kick.
I blocked and then I was like, what?
It was an emotional roller coaster.
Nice. Nice. There you go. Oh, maybe not do that.
Oops, I'm burnt out.
Ooh. That's just unfortunate timing. But I mean, I can see it right now, right? You're trying to implement like, oh, let me just back up and throw booms, and look how much better you're doing right now just because of that, right? Just that one adjustment, right, is making a huge difference in how the games are going. Oh.
Struggling on execution tonight.
We'll blame the rollback.
am on Wi-Fi and I'm not normally.
Yeah, it's been okay. I mean, it's been
My
fine.
office.
Like I say that slightly facetiously. It's been okay. It's totally fun for what we're doing, right? So there you go. Nice. Nice. Yeah, that's checkmate, right?
Yeah.
You know, no meter.
I was like, that DI's meaty. I got nothing.
Yeah.
Just wanted to see.
Still got old man reactions, but able to get it once in a while. I will say be a little
know
careful.
what to do off of that punish.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say be a little careful on autopiloting the target combo, because if I get spaced out and react to that second hit, I can whiff punish you, right? So.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
So it's just failed boom.
Yeah, it looked like you were trying to do something. But
it was a boom, and I just failed it.
Nice. Oh, tried to flash kick and he got stuffed. Uh-oh.
Oops, I did not mean to OD that.
Oh, I missed.
Damn.
Yeah, the neutral jump there, unfortunately. I mean, it's tough because you have to super to do something, and that can get baited, right? So.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Oh, no.
Dead.
So, one other thing I'll mention, just to be aware of it, is that Ken sometimes will intentionally let you OD flash kick them to burn you out, right? So that last Jinrai that I did, I was totally okay with eating the damage from that if it burns you out, right? And that kind of was able to take over the game from there. But that all said, the result of this may have ended up being the same, but the texture of the game was way different, right?
Yeah.
You know, some execution things aside, obviously, but if you look at how I had to play the game, it was more like I had to play your game, right? High Master, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
A Guile that's doing
That's a
Guile
lot of
things,
difference in.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of difference in an hour, man. That's
Yeah.
that's crazy.
And it's just two little things, right? Like, well, maybe not little, but like two things that I noticed that you can work on immediately. You don't have to do any extra work or any extra practice. It's just changing a little bit. Made such a huge difference in how the game went, right? Now, obviously, again, the result may have been the same, but in game, right, I had to play your game, right? And if I was a lesser player or I made more mistakes or anything like that, like, you easily win that game, right? Like, no question. So using that as like your main game plan to frustrate me as a player, and then going in, because when you get in, right, you're pretty effective when you go with like your buttons. You're able to do light strings, convert them, run meaties, go for throw, right? You mix up your offense at that point. But you saw how different it was. If I had to deal with your booms, I only have 3 bars to work with when I'm in. All of a sudden, it's really difficult to issue the corner, right? So
Yeah.
cool, man. Cool. So anything else you want to ask before you wrap up here?
No, man. Thank you so much.
Cool.
This is like
Awesome.
that's wild.
Awesome. I'm glad it worked. I'm glad it was a good experience for you. So cool, man. So I'm just gonna do the outro on stream so that it's there. You can hang out in Discord if you want. I'm just gonna meet you on stream, but feel free to take off otherwise. So
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll drop it here. I'll
right.
open the stream so I can like it.
Cool,
Later,
man. Appreciate it. Have a good one. All right, cool. Thanks, everyone. That's been Sit Down and Shut Up. I run this with the Fight Rise Discord. So Fight Rise is a fighting game community that focuses on Street Fighter 6 for the most part. They do bi-weekly round robins through their One Fight Stand series. If you are in Master or above, you can join in, and you'll be in a pool with all the other Master level players for a 7-round Swiss tournament. If you're below a Master, you can still join. They'll put you in a pool, and you can run a 7-round round robin with folks that are not in Master, right? They also do community events through their Urge to Fight series. I do commentary on them every so often, so if you're interested in those things, take a look at twitch.tv/FightRiseFGC. I also wanted to take a moment to talk about the Big League KO. So Big League KO is another round robin. It's like a league format where you are placed in a pool with 7 other players. You basically play a round robin spread out over 4 weeks. So you play 2 matches a week in their first to 5 sets. So you get a chance to play a bunch of games with folks if you're not able to make it to normal One Fight Stands. So it's a good time. We do a finals for that at the end of the season. So it's already running right now, but if you join the Discord, you can take a look at that for next season. Also, I'm also part of the Newbie Fight Club. Newbie Fight Club is another fighting game community focused on getting newer players into the game. It's no worries, AnythingBagel, you got you, man. It's a fighting community for getting new players in. They run lobby nights on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They also run bi-weekly events for Street Fighter 6 and like round robins and stuff. So take a look at the Discord for that information as well. They again do Monday, Wednesday, Friday lobby nights. They also do 3D games and retro games on Fightcade on Tuesdays and Thursdays, kind of sporadically. So take a look at Discord if you are interested in those things. Take a peek at the events. And yeah. So again, I run. If you're interested in a session like this, please join the Fire Rise Discord. Take a look at a channel called Sit Down and Shut Up. You'll be able to sign up for a session like this through there. And cool, man. So thank you guys all for watching. I really appreciate your time. AnythingBagel, man, you've been great. You did a lot. You did really well. And hopefully, this VOD will be up, so you can take a look at it. It'll be on my YouTube channel. So you can take a look at it at 2x speed, so you don't have to go through all the talking and sit through everything. You see it a little quicker. So yeah, appreciate you guys. I don't always respond to chat. I know there wasn't a whole lot of people like chatting today, but I don't always respond to chat while I'm doing this, as I'm focused on the person playing. But I do appreciate your follows and subs if you are so generous to do so and all that good stuff. So thank you everyone for watching, and have a good night.